왜? Hey everyone, I've been here very shortly on Monday, haven't been here Tuesday. My dog just burped and I am here and I think I can stay for a while today. How are you guys? I was going to work and it was busy and I I kept on being at work. It was not great. But today I want to record a podcast episode along with some other things. So let's get right to it. Let me make sure I have enough space in my computer. I didn't. So it's good I checked. I'm so caught up, got me feeling it, caught up. Usher. So, why is my computer so low on space? Because oh, I forgot. There was something I wanted to try. So the thing that I wanted to try is overlay or caption so that I can uh speak and it'll just kind of like I need Streamlabs. Hmm. Then I'll do that maybe next time. Closed caption overlay YouTube. Yeah, cause I've seen some people add closed caption as they were. Oh, there's an OBS plugin. Let's find that out. How? Oh, it's a plugin I have to install. Okay, I may need to come back. I don't know. Should I do that next time? How many people are here? 0 people are here right now. Good. Uh, captions, experimental audio source. Hey, Francis, how are you? I was gonna try some new things out, like auto caption and things like that, but it seems like I started the stream too soon, so I need to turn it off, but I'm too lazy. I don't want to turn it off, so I'll have to just keep going. How are you, my friend? Okay. Well, that's that. Today is Valentine's Day, so I wanted to say something about Valentine's Day. More in general, more about the topic of love. So let's just get started with that. Okay, recording now. Today is Valentine's Day, and I generally say this about love, but I think today we have a nice reminder about the topic of love given the time and the day. So, what is love? Love, so many different things. Is it, like love generally feels good, and it's the understanding that it's supposed to make us feel good. And, so what is it? Is it the desire to do something nice for them? Is it the desire to, touch them, caress them, kiss them? And, is it the desire to go on a date with them? Is it the desire to talk on and on and on with this person? There's all these different dimensions of, looking at love. But in my opinion, the biggest factor of love is that it is non-transactional. And by that, I mean it's not a tit for tat, like I do this, therefore you must do this with me. So it's like instead of that perspective, I think love is something that you choose. I choose to love you regardless of what you do. Love is something that you have control over. If you love this person but this person doesn't love you back, and that love, it's not love, it's a transaction of like exchange of feelings and thoughts. Love is something you can control, so regardless of what they do, you can love them. So what is actually happening when you love somebody? Well, in my opinion, the core definition of love is respecting someone's existence as is. You don't demand that they change. You don't demand that they do this. More important implication of that, they can do XYZ, but it does not disappoint you. It does not make you angry because you acknowledge that this person can do whatever they want. If I peed on your face, you would be very angry. But if a toddler, like who was just born and it's your kid, pees on your face, it's a thing to laugh about because you don't expect any better and you just let the baby be. And same with your dog. If I pooped in your, living room, you would be very upset. But if your dog does it, yeah, sometimes you'll be, angry and upset. But ultimately, it's your dog. You love it. Sometimes it's gonna poop anywhere it wants, and that's part of having a dog. That's love. You let the dog be. You let anyone be without expecting them to change anything, without expecting them to do anything, and not getting disappointed when they don't match your expectations. It's nice if they match your expectations. It's convenient for you, but it's not a requirement. And the more important implication of this is you can love other people and let other people be. It's a good experience for you. But many people fail to love themselves because they wish they were better. So they would do XYZ and then they would be disappointed themselves. And they would think, if only I were better at this. If only I did XYZ instead of, ABC. And they don't let themselves be. And this Valentine's Day, I invite you to let yourself be and witness yourself in love by letting yourself do whatever you want and loving you regardless of what you do. Good. My day? Today was actually one of the kind of the break days I haven't had in a really, really long time. Yesterday was super busy. Day before was also super busy. Yeah, but today I had a bit of a nice break. Did a bunch of things, but like it wasn't as like it was more the time was more up to me rather than meeting with people. So that was very good. Few of my students had a really good day because they started teaching and the classes went really good, so I'm happy about that. My other students, they're learning like business coaching and they're going out into the world and they're becoming more fearless with their marketing and they're doing all these wonderful things that are going to help the world and that makes me feel good. So I like that. Old hemp. I don't know what that is. I'm gonna. Hi, Carolina. How are you doing? It seems Old Hemp is a stud dog considered to be the progenitor to the Border Collie breed. Oh, you have a Border Collie. Okay. Yeah. Seems like Border Collies are very smart. I had a there was one lady in my neighborhood when I used to live in another city. Uh, she had two Border Collies who were so calm and they were very good influences for my dogs because my dogs had this like crazy energy and they when they were around the Border Collies they would calm down and it was a really good presence for my dogs. But yeah, unfortunately, the dogs all passed away due to health issues, and then some other things happened. But hey, like what's gonna happen has happened. But I'm happy that I had the opportunity to hang out with those dogs, and I cherished those times. And you know, like it's not like they were gonna be immortal, and the life that they had is worth celebrating rather than being sad about. So that's my experience with border collies. Such gentle, gentle souls. Love them. And Carolina, is your profile picture a hamster? And always wondered because in my view, it's not too large. Your profile picture. Okay, and let's talk about yeah. So I was at work yesterday and doing another presentation and had some thoughts about that. So wanted to kind of talk about that in the podcast episode because people want me to do more podcast episodes. Yes. Ah, okay. Hamster. Used to have hamsters when I was a kid, but hamsters are so easy to get and they yeah, it's very difficult to be yeah, past hamster, right? Okay. Yeah, it's very difficult to take proper care of hamsters. Unfortunate side effect of the pet business. But hey, through those experiences, we get to learn the preciousness of life, and you know, your life, just like the hamsters, is the one that you have, and yeah, time goes by even after you die, and even when you're living. So, not to get all too philosophical, but hamsters, dogs, they're all very wonderful reminders of how simple and precious life can be. Oh, is it a puppy? That's why she needs to socialize. Yeah, it's hard. And you know, dogs inherit the karma as well. So like dogs have the individual karma of like their, you know, parents biological parents dogs, but then if that's not really you know, if that doesn't really fit well with your family karma and your karma, then it's just kind of synergizes, which is kind of my case. I yeah, my dogs are like generally barkers, but I don't really do much to correct that behavior because I'm kind of like let yourself be kind of a person. So it just she's 4. Okay, she's still young. My dogs are 12, and so I remember when my dogs were 4, they were just starting to become a little gentle and less rowdy. That's what I remember about my dogs when they were 4. Good times. Okay, let's talk a little bit about public speaking. That's gonna be the topic of today. So I'm gonna keep talking, but I will read your chat and respond as I pause the video, but I'm gonna start recording the podcast. I am a life coach, but at the same time, I am a software engineer, and my full-time job is a software engineer, and as a result of that, I write a lot of code and also I get to speak a lot about the technology that I create and the value that I make with my code, I need to present it to people. And circumstances wise, I have a new boss at work, and there is a lot of knowledge transfer that needs to happen with some personnel shifts. So I have had the chance to talk a lot these days. And it is kind of a side effect of being a life coach that you become kind of a better speaker, I guess. I will talk a little bit more about that, but today's episode is about how to be uh, skilled at public speaking. And these are more or less my reflections and my opinions on what makes a good public speaking versus a very well thought out plan of things, but then it doesn't really resonate with the people. Chihuahua's 10 years old. Yeah, but I think that's the general tendency of Chihuahuas to like not anything, any dogs, right? My neighborhood Chihuahuas are all like that as well, so I completely understand. Okay, going back to the regularly scheduled programming. In public speaking, it's important to recognize that it is part of a function. Why do you have that opportunity to go to that public speaking event? And like everything else in life, it is viewed very well from the perspective of cause and effect. So you have an opportunity to speak publicly. For me, it was about knowledge transfer, what I had done, right? But now, why do we have this opportunity? Why am I speaking about this? It's the context around that will differ. So if I am doing a review and a demonstration to peers who already know my work, it's the same public speaking event where I talk about the things that I do, but the audience has a different knowledge set and different set of expectations. If I am doing it to, if I'm giving the same speech but to new people who don't know what I'm talking about, then the approach of it, while I'm talking about the same topic, the approach to it has to be different. And so if I'm explaining the same thing to my wife, again, it's going to be completely different because she is not a technical audience. So everything has a cause and effect. Therefore, this public event that I am attending and speaking has a cause. It's very important when you want to create the narrative around the thing that you are presenting, you understand why you have come to speak about this. And why is narrative so important? Because we have this thing called empathy. And we can be talking about code, which and machines, which is meant to be like the least kind of emotional thing. We always talk about the contrast between humans and machines and robots, right? But even when you're talking about a machine, when you invite storytelling aspects and when you invite empathetic aspects to it, it can be a very moving story. The talking about the machines can be very emotional experience. A lot of movies explore this concept. For example, the movie AI by Steven Spielberg, and moreover, Pixar does a wonderful job of this, right? Toy Story is a bunch of story about an inanimate objects like toys, and Wall-E is about the story of inanimate objects like robots, and Wall-E is basically like the peak of storytelling where because the robot doesn't really speak, right? So we can attach to anything. Another really good example of this is the pilot episode of the TV show Community, where the main protagonist brings up a pencil and gets people to name the pencil and then breaks it in half, therefore exemplifying and demonstrating the point that we can kind of identify and we can associate into anything. That is the power of the empathetic human mind. So when you have a public event, it's very important to start out with why. why do we have this? And moreover, how did we come to this? Like the topic is separate. We have to first understand how did I get to talking about this, and who are the people attending in order to get this information. Hey Lynn, you're presenting tomorrow at a business conference about mental health and generational differences in the workplace. Any tips? Oh, you've come to the right space because I'm talking about the public speaking. I'm recording my podcast right now. I'm pausing it, so don't worry. Your dog's scared of everyone, socially anxious. Yeah, dogs have like a really similar problems to humans. Um, oh, brother died. Well, RIP to your dog. 12, 13 years old. I think that's the really sad thing about having big dogs, right? Because their life expectancy tends to be shorter than the, smaller dogs. My small dogs give me a lot of annoyance, but they have a lifespan that I can appreciate, I guess. Okay, going back to the scheduled content. When you understand the context around why people are coming and how this event was hosted, then you can think about the topic and how to present that topic. So, again, the example that I've been using is I am explaining my software engineering work and what I have done recently. Number one, if I am talking to my peers, then the same topic, I can go into different levels of depth. For example, I don't need to go super in depth about our team specific things because they have a common understanding. If I'm talking to a new person who has joined our team, I need to go a lot into depth about the things that are specific about my team, but I can go a little less specific about general common knowledge around computer science and engineering. If I am talking to my wife about this, it has a completely different context, right? So your topic, it's not this one monolith that can only be viewed in one way. So, just like how I am a person who can be seen as how old am I? 36? 35? Oh, okay, I'm 35. I'm 35. Okay, so you can see me as a 35-year-old person, but at the same time, you can see me as a Korean person. You can see me as an English speaker, and you can see me as a person who wears glasses, and you can see me as a software engineer, and you can see me as a life coach. So you have everything has multiple aspects. It can be viewed in multiple contexts. So it's very important that you get to explore the topic at hand from multiple angles. So if I am talking about software engineering, that was my example. But for example, suppose I am talking about mental health and generational differences in the workplace. Then, of course, my perspective on it is coming from my profession as a life coach and moreover my age group that I take in the generational expanse. But it's important to again to recognize that that's not the only way to talk about it. So again, contextualizing how did this event happen and who are the audience and what are they seeking to get out of this? Are they just seeking to kind of like get credits, free credits? It's a college lecture and it's like a free seminar for, I don't know, 2 points. Then you can't really expect a lot of knowledge transfer, and it would be nice to add a lot of humor to just give them a good time. And if you are speaking to people who are really eager to learn, for example, if I'm teaching and it's all my students who are coming to learn the set of knowledge that I have, then I have to be very coming from an educational angle where I really make sure that I talk about the same concept in multiple different modalities so that the understanding is passed on rather than like what I just want to talk about. So if I'm talking about mental health and generational differences, like who are the people who are going to be coming and why are they coming? Are they older doctors and who are introduced to the world of mental health because they're sort of out of touch with the practice, how it happens in the field as a therapist or a life coach? Or are they new up and coming people who are looking to resolve their differences with their older coworkers in the workplace, right? Depending on that context, the angle of approach becomes different. And now that gives you the narrative of how you can start preparing for the talk. So, because my public speaking was centered around education of the current state, it was important that my audience understood the step by step by step by step of how we came to be. Because if I just talk about what is happening right now, especially in the world where there's so much variance, then the conversation and the public speaking just becomes a constant back and forth of, well, you do that, but why not this? You do that, but isn't that better? You do that, but why not this? So I'm anticipating that. Because I am anticipating that, I can break it down into since the beginning of time, I start building the narrative around it, right? In the past, what happened? And what events led to some significant moments of this development? And then how do we arrive here? And then, moreover, how will this develop into the future? So one of the greatest narrative tools when you have that's so easily accessible when you're doing public speaking is the concept of a timeline, because we all like to understand timeline. How did this come to be, and how did it grow? We start forming attachments when we can see something grow. And again, this is very exemplary of how everything works around cause and effect. So suppose my primary audience is companies who cannot retain Gen Z. I think Gen Z is the younger one, right? I'm very not familiar with these terminologies. So now that implies that the primary audience is going to be on the older side. So you could approach it from the angle of like explaining how TikTok is affecting mental health. But the message will largely be lost on them because they don't really know. They aren't active TikTok users. They aren't like filming challenges, right? So for them, they need to understand how, why does Gen Z, who seems like a monolith right now, who don't, get retained, how did they come to this? Like, what are the specifics of them, and how did they get that specific? For example, my sister and I, we are both offsprings of our parents, but we are very different in terms of personality. Why? And if I don't really explain that in depth, and I just say, like we're just different. We have different personalities. My sister is much more like bouncy and eclectic, and I'm more like zen. Then it's like, okay, I guess there's nothing memorable about that. But now, if I say, my sister, she has more tendencies from my dad, and me, I have more tendencies from my mom. So the core difference in personalities between my dad and my mom is my dad has this wide expanse of interests, and he's so passionate about getting to all of them, and my mom is kind of like in contrast to that. She's like the balancing factor, right? So when my dad wants to go all over the place, my mom is like the gravitating force. And so that forms the nice kind of orbit that my parents have. Now you get to know my parents, and you get to see how the origins of like kind of like Adam and Eve, or like how my sister and I kind of started diverging. That's like the significant like first milestone, right? And then as my sister was growing, she was the first child. So my parents, they wanted her to explore all these things because it was so new, right? Parenting was new. So my sister had the chance to go be classically trained in like voice and violin, piano, art, and she was like a totally like a renaissance person. And now, because my parents had the experience of doing that with my sister, for me they were able to be more relaxed because, oh, turns out you don't have to have kids like do everything, and your kids can just kind of like pick what they want to do. So I had more relaxed, and because of that, I never really had to be forced into doing something. And again, now with that piece of information, you get another kind of a tidbit of an information that kind of tells a story of how we are progressing into the current state, right? So just like that, again, uh, Gen Z, most people have very fixed ideas about something. And on my YouTube stream, we were just talking about dogs. And I just told my audience that I have this opinion about Chihuahuas. But the thing is, um, Chihuahuas aren't a monolith too, right? Like Chihuahuas also have this very like multifacetedness. But in my mind, it's not because of malice, it's just how we simplify the information in our head so that we don't think about everything all the time and our mind goes to overload. We like to chunk things down. So it is safe to assume that your audience will be chunking down everything as well. So, Gen Z, they seem like a monolith. But now the job is to transform the perspective and the context so that they aren't this thing that they have a fixed idea about. Again, how did they come to be? Well, they were born in the first place, right? But now, what are the generational contexts around it? Because, okay, so baby boomers had this like war thing going on, right? Millennials had this like 9/11 and the subprime mortgage situation around, right? And then the generation after that has like COVID, and then the generation after that is like born with smartphones, and that's the core differences. So when you can get the core differences and how the upper generation tends to not understand their interactions with the world because the world has had so many big shifts that are so monumental. When you approach it from that angle, it's easy for them to understand the growth of the Gen Z, right? And then now, when you can come to how things are and all the different aspects like comparative and contrasting elements with the generational things, now you can talk about the future and their involvement in it. So for my example that I was using about my software engineering, now that there are these new people in my job, I can say this is the current state. But now, since you are joining on our team as role X and role Y, then we can utilize these resources in these areas. And when we do that, our data platform can grow into this kind of a bigger future with this specific direction. Because again, the tendency is to think of the future as a monolith thing, like this one thing. But it's not. The future is also laden with like so many degrees of possibilities. So it's important that you give the possibilities of future, not just for the storytelling aspects of it, but now the future is how your audience can get involved. When you're talking about just the past and when you're talking on and on and on and on and you get to the present, until then, it's like watching a passive movie. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess that's what's happening. But when the future is involved, that's when things become interactive for them. Because now their involvement moves the trajectory and the arc of the future possibilities by 1 degree, 2 degrees, 0.5 degrees. It still makes a big difference in the long run, right? So when you're talking about the future, if you can loop the audience in, especially with like actionable things and kind of like big thought, bubbles to think about and keep in the back of their mind as they progress with the world, that is like the perfect way to kind of retain their attention. And the storytelling aspects are so useful for attention retaining as well, right? Because number one, we can't really stay focused in many like for a prolonged amount of time when there's no like concept of a cadence. So when you're talking about past and the different aspects of it, and you emphasize the critical events that happened, then even when you're just talking about the past, it's not a monotone thing, right? It's not like I'm looking at the, for example, the Civil War history of the United States, and I'm like, in 18 something this war, and then 18 something this battle, and then Abraham Lincoln. You've had lectures like this, right? It's just a list, and it makes no difference from a Wikipedia article that you like look at and get once. But now, when you start forming the storytelling elements of it, and explain why this is so critical, um, then it's really good for retention. And as you keep tying it up, threading it up, threading up, and then you get to the current state, your audience is already retained, and then now you get them involved in the future discussions, and now it became a story and a movie into a VR experience. So you really invite the audience into the experience, and that is pretty much how I approach public speaking and talking. It's very like everything I do, very very much based on Buddhist philosophies, always contextualizing. What is my role here as the speaker? Like I'm speaking, but for what purpose? What needle am I? Am I a threading needle that's sewing the two pieces of fabric together? Am I a needle that's kind of like putting a little bit of point pressure so that it explodes? Am I a needle for what? What is my purpose? When you can get to contextualizing you and your audience and the topic at hand, that's when public speaking becomes a truly magical experience for not just you, but everyone involved. And it'll really, because you're having fun telling it, it won't feel forced and you won't be like tired. I have been public speaking for a very long time. Because I spoke a lot in engineering conferences, back when I was more into software engineering. But I remember whenever I had these talks and I was up on the stage, like my hands would be a little bit shaking, but then I thrive on stage. So then like I would talk and then everything would be great. I would kind of forget, I would get in the zone. But then after the talk, I would be so tired, right? I specifically remember these instances where I was walking down the stairs from the podium and I'm like, whoa, like I spent a lot of energy up there. But what's important now, from my past few days experience is that I don't feel tired at all because again, I'm part of the experience because I have contextualized into, you know, the grand event, the grand stream of the event that is happening, and that's very important key point for me. And in terms of speaking itself, many people feel conscious about their voice. Many people feel conscious about, like what if they stutter and what if, like the voice isn't projected enough. Well, the thing is, we have microphones these days. So if you can get into, like using your microphone more instead of trying to project your voice, and, you know, speaking requires a bit, especially for a prolonged amount of time, it requires you to have proper use of your voice. So if you're speaking like this from the neck, it'll really burn out your neck really quickly. But if you're speaking from the belly and you speak more from the abdomen and what's this muscle called? I forget. Crazy, right? Because I'm an athlete. Oh, diaphragm. If you speak more from the diaphragm and you let your neck relax, then you can speak for a longer amount of time. And if you, even with just a little bit of that pressure, you can have that variance of the voice. And you know what? To be completely honest, uh, me verbalizing it became so much easier simply because I spent a lot of time talking to people. Like pretty much every day, I spent over half of my time physically talking to people, whether it be for YouTube, whether it be for like Instagram videos, whether it be talking to people at work or my coaching sessions. So in general, when you want to be a good speaker, it kind of makes sense to talk about a lot. So, well, how can I talk about a lot? It helps to have topics and things that you're interested and passionate about talking about a lot. Okay, so that is my take on public speaking and how to be a good public speaker. Thank you to the audience for listening to this podcast. And if you have any suggestions about what I should talk about next, please leave them in the comments or email me at billy@julylifecoach.com, and I will try my best to address those topics in future episodes. Thank you, and see you in the next episode. Yay. Cool. All right. Hi, Kaylee. Yes, I am early tonight because my wife is at work early. But yeah, I'm anticipating I'll be streaming more longer hours starting tomorrow because some things are changing around my time usage. And tomorrow I'm planning to have all these like new overlays, and so stay tuned for that. Alien, I'm glad it was helpful. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna kill it tomorrow, I'm sure, because you know what? You're great. I believe in you. All right. How's your Valentine's Day? I got my wife a card and the balloon and the chocolate, and I kept it in the car because I wanted to wait until like today. But then she gave me the card. She gave me chocolate first yesterday, right? And then if I wait, then it seems like after I received it, I went outside and bought it, and I wanted to make sure she knew that wasn't the case, so that I gave her all the Valentine stuff right after. So my Valentine's Day was kind of like yesterday, but then my wife is super busy, I'm super busy, so we're not doing anything special tonight. But yeah, that's how my Valentine's Day's been, and my life is already full of love, and I don't have kids, so always have date time. So every day is Valentine's Day for me. Mhm. There were a bunch of other things that I wanted to make a video about, but then when I sit in front of the computer, and because I'm a person who doesn't take notes, I forget. But you know what? I'm gonna be here for more while, so it'll come to my head. 6 miles? That's crazy. Was it like commuting things or were you hiking? There's a movie Valentine's Day? Oh, that reminds me. Song of the day is David Bowie. Valentine's Day. Ah, The Next Day was such a good album. It's a shame that David Bowie passed. What? It's a Julia Roberts movie? I go crazy for old school rom-coms. I have to check this out. Okay. Mhm. Oh, it's the director from Runaway Bride and Princess Diaries. Pretty Woman. No wonder it's because Julia Roberts, huh? Oh, not Julia Roberts. Oh, Julia Roberts is in it, but it's Jessica Alba. Oh, I guess it's like a omnibus kind of a thing where there's a lot of couples that have. Okay, that sounds fun. We were walking on the beach. That's nice. Man, I should go to the beach, but it's too cold in California right now, says the man living in California. Yeah, but my plan when it comes summertime is to wake up at like 5 a.m., 4 a.m., get all my bows and in the morning. Or maybe, I don't know, I can drive up to the beach in the morning and do my bows and meditation there. It's gonna feel so fucking good. And then I'll drive home before the traffic, and then I don't know, maybe get a few rounds of surfing in. Man, that sounds good. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to this summer. Gonna be doing a lot of things. Yeah. Yesterday was work. Uh, oh yeah, I forgot. I gotta walk my dogs, but maybe I'll do a walking stream. So, it's silly. that I think about these things too, but then I worry that if I stream too much, it'll be annoying to the people in the subscribers feed. But then, I guess I don't really have that much of a subscriber to worry about. So maybe I'll stream more impromptu. Um, I just learned how to surf this, well, not this past year. Uh, I thought I was gonna have a really bad time, like difficult time, but because I do so many sports that require the use of my core, actually I got onto the board and started riding waves on the first try. So but I haven't done it by myself. I just had one lesson and then life got busy. So this year I'm hoping to get a board and really do it. I went to Hawaii after that, but then my wife didn't want to like surf because she's afraid of deep waters, and I didn't want to go out into the ocean alone while my wife isn't really doing anything. So, but yeah, I'm really planning to do more surfing this year. Go to Santa Monica or like Malibu. I heard Malibu's pretty good for surfing. I'm hoping to go to Hawaii and get some surfing there too, because I noticed there's a lot of surf shops there, so I don't need to bring my own board. How did I forget my own age? Yeah, so it's a few different reasons. Number one, Korea has a different kind of a way of calculating age. So you're the year you're born, so basically when you're out of your mother's womb and you're actually born, you're one. That's the first weird thing. And the second thing is your age clicks up on January 1st. So you can have up to 2 years of a discrepancy with your actual American birthday and Korean birthday. Is it one? I don't know. Like again, it's confusing, right? So but now they abolished that. So now everybody is actual birthday age. So that's reason number one. I just have mixed models of age. Number two, I don't really think about my age all that often. So that's why I just don't. I have to kind of consciously bring it up. Yeah, like this is all before coaching, but when I turned 30, I was so depressed because in my mind I'm always in my 20s, and so since then I was like, oh no, I'm in my 30s and nothing means anything anymore, and I'm like old and blah blah blah. But then since then I just kind of like, oh, but it doesn't feel any different, so I just kind of stopped thinking about being conscious about my age because the only kind of opportunity where people talk about their age is about when like I'm something something years old, I'm so old, right? And I kind of don't think that at all. Like I can still do anything that young people like little people, like I don't know, people who are born later than me can do. So I don't see a difference between them and me. So that's why surfing is easy. It depends on the wave and your ability to kind of read the wave. You and surfing has so many life lessons. It's amazing. Yeah, like you can't ride every wave, so you can't be like super anxious and you can't be super like oh no like antsy about oh no I have to ride this wave because like chances are like you're not gonna ride every wave because not every wave is rideable. So um you go out where the waves start forming because when you're there after the wave has formed, then it's kind of too late. So you kind of go venture out where the waves start to break. And but the thing is, it's not a fixed spot, right? It's like a general area. So like, okay, taking this screen for example, right? So suppose this is the shore and the beach, and so the waves break here, right? You get the like white waves here, and this is like very very much deep in. It's just a lot of fluctuations, but there's no like wave incoming. So you want to be generally around here, and you wait for the wave to kind of like crest up and start forming that shape as it approaches the shore, right? So when you're in the right spot and you see it coming, you start paddling, paddling, paddling. You gotta match the speed of the wave, and then when the wave starts carrying you, that's when you stand up. But so reading the wave kind of takes practice and time, and your ability to paddle so you match the speed of the initial like acceleration of the wave. That takes a little bit of effort because you need to be like you need to prop your chest up as you do. You can't be like so that part's a little bit hard. But once you feel the momentum going, uh, it's like riding a bike. You gotta trust that the forward momentum is gonna keep your balance, and you just prop up like, and then stand up with the knees all low. But that part I think is hard for other people. But again, I do jujitsu, I do judo, I do Pilates, I do all these things that really test my core and balance. So I'm pretty good at maintaining balance. So that's yeah, surfing is super fun, and I think the really underrated part of surfing that a lot of people don't talk about is when you're out in the ocean and you're tired and you're just like laying down on your board and you're just like chillaxing. And it's like, and then you see birds like flying so low close to the surface. And then sometimes there's like dolphins that come up. And if you have good eyesight, I don't. But like, yeah, if you can look down, there's like fish there. It's like that I get super seasick, right? I don't know. This was all before I got seasick before all the Buddhism stuff, and I got before I learned to like disconnect the feelings from my mind. So maybe I won't be seasick anymore, but I get really seasick on boats, but surfing is just different. Like when you're on your board and you're just like and the sun is shining and it's so peaceful. Love it. I absolutely love that part of surfing. Yeah, it's super serene. I don't know why people don't talk about that part of surfing more, but yeah, so good, so good. But I think like Pacific Northwest is not that good for surfing, and I think Florida is good for surfing. There's like a lot of good surfing spots. And yeah, I've seen people surf in Florida. I think there's like competitions there. So one of my jujitsu friends is like the coordinator for like the World Surf League. So I have lots of surf influences. So that also helps with the experience of surfing. Yeah, Weezer. Yeah, I used to listen to a lot of Weezer, but Weezer, Weezer, good music, but not super my style. I just don't. I think I don't like the voice of Rivers Cuomo. Is it just me? Yeah, his voice is really not my style. Yeah, I guess that's a popular opinion because the first result that pops up is Rivers Cuomo, best and the worst on the of the band. I am also thinking. Well, I'm gonna start creating pieces of my next course on the stream as well. So my next course, I think I talked about this a few times. I'm gonna make a course on how to start anything. So let's actually do a little bit of work on creating the curriculum for that. Okay. How to start anything. So I'm just gonna brainstorm everything that comes to mind when I'm thinking about this course, and this is kind of meant to be educational for my. You want me to listen to Surf Wax America? It's so that sets some unique expectations. Okay, my wife is coming home, so I may be signing off a little bit soon, but let's hear Surf Wax America. Every time I stream, I'm so bummed out by the fact that I cannot listen to music on stream. Oh, it's for the Blue album? The thing about Weezer is so my opinion on Weezer is that you have the uh remember I was talking about the monolith? So you have an idea for a song, right? And you have an idea for a song, and depending on the band and the style, you get to develop that song in a specific direction. And so I have this idea about a song about like like being really hurt and disappointed, and then Johnny Cash has hurt, and then Olivia Rodrigo can develop that idea into something, and so there's this idea of a song, and I feel like Weezer just stops there, and it's like, hey, here it is, and then this is our song. It's just like it's just the idea of a song, and it just feels so not fleshed. Um, that's my passionate take on Weezer. But that with that said, I don't really hate Weezer's entire discography. My favorite part of Weezer is what is my favorite? The album Hurley too, right? Like that album jacket. It's like the oh, we should like have this like an album inspired by Hurley, and then they just didn't like develop it any further. the peak example of this is Radiohead's Paranoid Android, right? Weezer did a cover of it. It's so aggressively bland. I think that and Africa too. Like Weezer's covers, they really, they're so yeah. My favorite album of Weezer is Make Believe, and again, kind of like sappy kind of a thing, but I like The Damage in Your Heart. That's like the one song that's a little bit more nuanced from Weezer. Yeah, but yeah, Weezer, not a band from a part of my life where I want to remember. But maybe it's a good experience in remembering. But yeah, I was a sappy teenage, early adult back then. Yeah, it is aggressively but thank you for the recommendation nonetheless. Mm, I don't care about that. Mm. 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 Beverly Hills. I remember that song. Yeah. Wow, that cover of Paranoid Android was just like mind blowing in the mind blowing in the most mediocre way. Yeah, yeah. I guess I just don't find myself drawn to. Yeah, you know. A quick recommendation. No, no, don't play music. Okay. Quick recommendation. There is. Wait, what? I'm confused. Well, it's not capturing my YouTube. Oh, here we go. Yeah, this channel, Triple J. Um, it's a Australian. It's an Australian radio station, I think, but they have this series called Like a Version, and they invite all these different, like really wide, expansive catalog of artists spanning lots of different genres. They invite them to do one of their songs and one cover. And this is such a good intro to a lot of different and really super eclectic and really good bands. Highly recommend this channel. Triple J, like a version. I guess that's a wordplay on like a version. Okay, the skill to detach from dominating experiences. Mm. Okay, I think this is a pretty solid starting point. I gotta leave because my wife is coming soon and I'm about to grab some dinner with my wife. And I've streamed for 17 minutes already. That's cool. That's very cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna be back tomorrow. Tomorrow streams are gonna be longer and we'll have some more fun talking about a lot of different things. My favorite genre? Did I tell you my favorite genre? Because I think it's a lot of R&B, old school R&B, New Jack Swing, uh hip hop. I really like heavy things like heavy metal. Uh like but less about like Metallica or like Iron Maiden and less about that, but more like Smashing Pumpkins. The R&B, it's New Jack Swing. New Jack Swing is that genre. I remember talking about it with you. But the like really heavy guitar riff, yeah, it's more like shoegazing. I'm really into that kind of stuff. Like My Bloody Valentine and Smashing Pumpkins, one of my favorite. Oh, I love Smashing Pumpkins. Their early discography is so good. And what else do I like? I like K-pop, different parts of K-pop, and yeah, I listen to every and the dubstep like the James Blake type of thing. Really into that as well. But yeah, I'm a voracious music listener, so we can talk a lot more about music. Smashing Pumpkins, right? Yeah, if you know, you know. I love Smashing Pumpkins. Like ah. Smashing Pumpkins is such a good example and such an underrated example of how you can have the how you can have a very traditionally not appealing voice, but still rock out like a fucking maniac. Loves Smashing Pumpkins. But I don't know. Is my taste good? I like my taste, but I feel like it's a little bit difficult to kind of find new music that adheres to my taste. Which is kind of a yeah. I need to get on with the new times about like new types of music. But you know, I just don't actively listen to a lot of music anymore. Yeah, but in any case, I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining, and have a good night. Lovely Valentine's Day to you. Love you all.